Hello, everybody. This is the second week of our leadership production, leadership video. Last week, we talked about the key word for leadership as empathy. Another key word is also sympathy. They seem to be very similar, but they're not. There are different moments where empathy and sympathy for a person's situation or for a person's challenge is a completely different ball game, and you have to look at things in a different way. We mentioned the last time that you have to be out of that universe and put the other in that center of the universe. You have to understand that as a leader, you have to serve people. To be a leader is not a self-serving type of behavior. Definitely it's not. And I would like to just answer some questions. Some people send me an email. A question from Eligi Lima from Manaus, Brazil. Michael Gutenberg from Perth in Australia. And Jean-Jacques Michel from Nice in France. They ask a very similar question, and I put it all together in one. They said, Aggie, what would you say to a leader when he or she is having a hard time to lead people in his team when they perceive clearly that they are opposing you because they envy you when they are also doing very little when they could do more? We got to be very careful when we say that they are envying you, because to envy somebody, how do you find that? How do you discover that? That is related to an envy factor. You have to be very good in interpreting people's behavior and get some, what we call failures in the way they communicate or the way they talk to you for you to say that's an enviness issue. The thing is, you have to talk to them. I have been to companies where I've asked people, they were having some troubles with their leaders, having trouble with some of the people. And I asked them, how many times did you go out and have lunch with this person? And you already know the answer. None. It's a communication issue that needs to be dealt with. We have to understand also the Pygmalion Effect on people. The Greek history or the Greek myth about Pygmalion, if somebody heard about it, where Pygmalion did a face of a beautiful woman in a sculpture, and he fell in love with that sculpture, and he gave life to that woman right there. And this is the power, or the Pygmalion effect we have on people. We have a tendency, unconscious tendency, to reject people that do not empathize with us or that have no sympathy for us. And we have a tendency, an unconscious tendency, to relate better, of course, with the people that respond to us in a positive way. But that's not where your challenge is as a leader. You have to have a different behavior for different kind of people. And each situation is different, and you have to deal with it in a different way. I'm going to tell you a very simple and interesting story that happened to me. I was working for Alexander Proudfoot many, many years ago, and I was responsible for 40 trainers because I was responsible for the management training in every project. And there was a person in another division on the operational side that I didn't like very much. But one day, the CEO, Bill Frank, came to me and said, Aggie, from now on, this person is going to work in your team. I immediately start liking that person. And you might say, this guy's crazy. I mean, how come you don't like someone and you just immediately start liking that person? But you know why? Because from that moment on, I was responsible for the success of that individual in my team, and that would represent my own success. And I depended on that individual to be successful. And I had to help that individual to be successful so that I could also, as an individual, benefit from that. But Either way, it's not self-serving kind of thing that I'm talking about. I had to be there to serve them, first of all. To make that person successful was my key objective and my main goal, and I had to achieve that. So relate with people, talk to them, communicate with them. You know what? For every company I have visited, and every time we put some executives together in the same room and we try together what is the biggest challenge they all face, you know what is the number one? Communication. Communication is what is lacking in most of the leaders or people who are trying to become leaders, is talking to people, is discussing with them how you can be helpful to them and how you can work together as a team, and they will respect you a lot more for that. If you own a company and you have $20 million in the bank account and suddenly you are in a crisis and you decide to terminate your people so that you don't lose any money from your savings account or for whatever you have in your bank, you lose their respect because you only think about yourself. You're not thinking about them. Some people may say, well, it's easy to talk, then do it. Of course, I know it is. But you're not thinking about them. And also remember one thing, who is your client number one? Is your people. If you treat your people with respect, they will respect you. And they will treat your client out there with the same respect that you're giving them. This is leadership. This is the clue of the week, and I'll talk to you next week again. Thank you.